do I tell people about DMT? What do I tell students about DMT when I talk about it in class? I talk about DMT in the context of talking about the many different kinds of molecules that are mostly, for the most part, found in plants originally or fungi, and that have various kinds of potent effects on the central nervous system. And so I'm talking about DMT in the broader context of psychedelic or hallucinogenic plant medicines, which include things like mescaline from peyote and other cactuses, and ergot-like derivatives that have led to LSD, from fungi, and psilocybin and psilocin from fungi and so forth. And I talk about DMT in the context of occurring in many different plants and having been incorporated into the rituals of indigenous people, primarily from the Amazon, as snuffs and ayahuasca, and used as medicinal, healing, spiritual rituals in these cultures. So I pretty much kind of stick to the facts, and I bring in the history of psychotherapeutic research in the United States in the 50s and 60s, and relate some of the early results of people like Stan Grof and others, showing the profound therapeutic potential for these molecules used in the appropriate context. In the case of things like DMT, I speak to the demonstrated lack of toxicity of these molecules in any kind of way that we normally kind of think of physiological toxicity, damage to organ systems, toxic effects on brain cells. There's no evidence that any of this kind of stuff happens for DMT and many other related molecules. I talk about the history of the legal status of these substances in the United States, how they were collectively placed into Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substance Act back in 1970 and have remained there, which has been a great impediment to doing any clinical research with them up until very recently. It still is an impediment, but a little bit easier now. I speak to the recent legal activity in this area, most notably the Supreme Court decision in the United States last year, unanimous Supreme Court decision that found that the spiritual use of ayahuasca in the ritual context as structured by the UDV was permissible under the Constitution in the United States, despite the fact that one of the components of this ayahuasca, namely DMT, is considered an illegal Schedule 1 compound. So I think this legal decision is likely to have very profound ramifications in the years ahead, which remain to be seen.